Do you have the role of a project manager in your organization alongside the role of a product manager in your organization, or either any one of these? Do you know what the difference between these are, or are you just confused like many others? You are in luck because I'm going to be talking about that in this video. Stay tuned. Hey guys, my name is Rubabdat Sharma. I am a senior product manager and have around 12 years of work experience in the tech industry as of 2022. If you would like to know more about me or this channel, look out for the introduction video above. Otherwise, let's get into today's video. So the topic for today is project management versus product management. So to start off, I am going to be giving an example of what a product manager does and what a project manager does. Hopefully that makes it easier for you to understand the difference and apply it to your organization. Let's get started. Consider that you have to build a messaging product similar to WhatsApp or Telegram or Viber, similar to that. And here is what a product manager would ideally do. Now there are three things that a product manager would do: research, execute, monitor. Within research itself, there are three things that a product manager would ideally research about: the target market, their pain points, and the competitors in the market. So when we say that a product manager should know how to do the research on target market, what does that mean? So that means they should know who are they building the product for. Is it like for a business or a company, or is it for an individual person or an entity? Even within individuals, are those like college going students who they are building the messaging product for, or is your messaging product geared towards maybe office going professionals? So understanding who you are building the product for is very important. So you have to ask yourself plenty of questions when you are doing that research on the target market. Even within, once you've identified that you're building a product for individuals, even within that, is it going to be specific to a region or it is worldwide? So are there any limitations in terms of geography? So when we do, when a product manager does the research on the target market, it usually comprises of researching the demographic, researching the geographic, researching the behavioral, and researching the psychographic. So all four of these things needs to be researched thoroughly by a product manager before they can conclude who the ideal customer profile for their product is, and that's where they will get the answer from. Alright, now that a product manager has researched who the ideal customer profile is or what does their target market look like, they will ideally come up with user personas. Alright, now that a product manager has researched who their ideal customer profile is or what does their target market look like, the next thing that they need to research is the user pain points. So within pain points, once the first level of research is done, there are going to be multiple user personas. I'm going to repeat that there are going to be multiple user personas. There should in fact be multiple user personas, because when we are building a product, we need to think of it from a 360-degree view. So based on each and every user persona, we have to identify what is the pain point that they are facing. Now going back to the example of a messaging product. So messaging it's not a new invention, right? Messaging has been there as long as we can remember. So over here now we need to think about what is the problem that users are facing. Is it that the current messaging products being used by these user personas, is it not fast enough? Is it like taking time to send and receive messaging, or there are some features missing? As an example, when a message is being sent, maybe the current messaging product, is it not able to send videos or images or emojis or whatever? So is there any feature that's missing? So we have to identify what is the pain point that the target market or the user persona is facing, and then being able to come up with a list of features that we want to develop which address these pain points. So that is what a product manager should definitely do. Now the third research which a product manager should definitely do is researching the competitors, or they should know what does the market look like, in which market they are competing. So again, in our example of a messaging product, there are multiple competitors. There's WhatsApp, there's Telegram, there's Viber, there is Facebook Messenger. There are plenty of messaging products available out there. So the product manager should have a good hold of what does the market look like. They should have done a research on, when I say research on competitors, they should have ideally used all of these products themselves and felt what the user experience looked like. What features are here? What features are missing from this product? So ideally after this research there would be a matrix created, like the first column would ideally have the list of competitors and on the top it would have all the features, and then we would have like a matrix created on which player in the market has which feature and which feature is not there and which is the feature which is not present in any of them. So that matrix will give a product manager a very good view of what does the market look like, what are the features that are being consumed by the end user currently, where do the opportunities lie. So this research needs to be combined with the research which is done for the pain point. So combining both of these, you will get an answer to what are the features that you want to build within your product. So all these three researches are going to be very helpful. I'm just going to repeat. The first research is about the target market, identifying who the ideal customer profile is, identifying which users are you solving the problem for. You have to understand everything for that particular user. Once you have identified the user, the second research which needs doing is identifying their pain points. What problem are they facing in their journey? So that's the second research. The third one is going to be the understanding the competitive landscape. So combining all of these three researches, you will get an answer. A product manager will get an answer on what features do they want to build and what features are not necessary because that has already been built by someone else. So people don't need that or people will not use it. So those type of answers you're going to get out of it. And once these researches are done, the product manager will have a beautiful product vision. They will have a product strategy and a product roadmap built out of it. Now let's take an example of this. So of all these three researches, first let's say we have a user persona identified for a person, boy or a girl going to a college. Suppose that is one user persona that we have shortlisted. Now second one, we have to identify what their pain points is. So a person who's going to a college, so maybe they want to use a messaging software for, one is casual chatting, just communicating with each other. Second one could be maybe exchanging notes and stuff like that. So we are going to pick up on that pain point. So maybe the current messaging softwares, they do not allow sending and receiving files above a particular size. So that is one pain point which we can think about addressing in the most effective way. So we've identified, all right, these college going students, they are not able to send the notes via these messaging software, and since they are on the messaging softwares a lot, I mean we know college students use WhatsApp and all these normal text messages quite a lot. So it would be very helpful if we can build a product feature for them which allows them to also exchange the notes while they are on it. So that could be one pain point that we've identified. Now after this, when we go and research about competitors, we will go and look at all the messaging softwares out there. As I said, we'll create a matrix. Left column would be all the competitors and the top row would be the features that are there, ability to send and receive messages, ability to send the documents which are of a particular size, ability to send contact information, ability to send maybe money or payment or whatever. So whatever features are there, you will list them on the top row, and then based on, for example, WhatsApp have a feature of sending money, so you're going to take make a crossover there. So similarly you will do it for all competitors and all the features. Now based on this matrix, you've identified there's actually no competitor, no player out in the market who is allowing an end user to send a document which is above 25 MB as an example. So that is an opportunity for you to solve a problem. So that is what you will think as a product manager. All right, let me just take that as a feature and build it in the most efficient way. Now after the research, the second thing that a product manager needs to do is being able to execute. Now over here, product managers just need to take a deep breath and hold on. They have to remove their strategy hat and they have to put on their execution hat, because the mindset that they have when they are researching and when they are thinking about a long-term vision and the product strategy, that's very different from when they are actually getting the stuff executed. So that's why that mindset shift is going to happen. So that's why, put on your execution hat, product managers, because that's going to really help. So when I say execution, it means, again, going back to the example which I just mentioned, you've identified there is a need in market to build a product feature wherein a person can send the files using a messaging software above 25 MB. So that is one feature that we want to build as an example. Now, product managers, they don't know coding, they cannot code, they will need engineers' help to do that. Now, how are they going to work with engineers? Is they are, first of all, they have that requirement, they are going to create a requirements document out of it, and then based on that requirement document, they are going to create user stories, and user stories are what will be used by the engineers to understand what exactly needs building. So for example, here we could have like an epic if we are taking a reference of agile terminologies, or you're using Jira or any project management software out there. So you will first of all create an epic saying ability to send and receive messages based on this particular epic. Now you will drill down a little bit more. Now inside that you will have multiple features like ability to send text messages, ability to send video messages, ability to send audio messages, ability to send files, and similarly you will have all these. Now we over here are discussing about the pain point that we discussed, ability to send a file greater than 25 MB. Now for that particular feature wherein we said ability to send documents, we are going to pick up on that, and based on that we are going to create multiple user stories in fact. So one of the user story could be, as an end user or as a college going student, I am able to send a document above 25 MB, or if we have already decided at this point what the maximum limit of the document is going to be, we could change the user story to say I'm able to send the document whose size is less than 50 MB via the messaging product, so that it's easier for me to exchange notes over this product, whatever. So that is going to be user stories. Similarly, there are going to be multiple user stories as well, because when we say that a document needs to be sent, the whole interface is going to come in picture. So there is a one-on-one chat over there, this option is going to be made available. There will be an icon of document, we'll have to decide on what the icon for that document is, clicking on which there will be a new model that will open. We have to decide what text goes in that model. There could be two buttons on that model saying cancel, or the other saying attach a file. Now once the file is attached over there, after that it's going to be upload or save or whatever. In reality, behind the scenes, that file is going to be saved somewhere on cloud, right? So that is going to be part of the user story as well. So if you see a user story in itself, whatever we need to get implemented, it contains of what the user experience is going to look like and what the technicalities are. Like where are you going to store that file? How quickly is the file going to go? Is it going to provide like a drive link? Is it going to provide a cloud link? So all of those things need to be thought about, and that is why being able to create those documents in terms of a requirements document, a user story, specific tasks for it, this is what is meant by execution. And since there is a user interface involved here, we probably also need product designers here, because they have the skill set to design prototypes for us and say what does the UI look like, what is should we have a button, should we have a link. So they have all of that expertise to be able to guide the product managers and the team as well. So this is what is meant by execution, wherein you be on the field with the engineers, with the product designers, and get the stuff built. Once the product managers have got this particular feature built, they need to be able to test that feature out in the development environment or whatever, but they need to be able to test it so that whatever they were envisioning for this particular feature, they want to make sure that that is getting built. So they need to work very collaboratively with the engineers in the team, with the product designers in the team, and get that built. Now another fun part within the execution itself, once suppose your feature is all good, you've tested it, everybody's feeling really good about it, now it's live and the end users are using it, there needs to be a mechanism to get the customer feedback, right? So this is where the third thing that a product manager needs to do is monitor. So since now the product is live, the product manager also needs to make sure that there is a mechanism in place to get the customer feedback. So they are always listening to that customer feedback regularly and they are actioning it. Maybe because what could happen here is the product is live and people are using it, maybe they are facing issues, like their use case was not thought about when the product was built. So they could give us the feedback, and then we could, think about building it if it is something that's impacting a lot of users. So that monitoring needs to keep happening, and in order for a product manager to monitor most effectively, there needs to be proper metrics in place. Like the most popular is Google Analytics. So use of Google Analytics is going to allow the product managers to track how end users are using the product. Maybe this button is not at all being used versus this one which is being used, so maybe we should spend more time on it. So that monitoring phase is gathering customer feedback they are giving you directly. If they are not giving you directly, still you have your product usage metrics in place to track it. So example of product usage metrics here is, like, one metric for this particular example could be how much time is it taking to upload a file of 50 MB. So that is one particular, and consider there are multiple users doing this action at the same time. So how much time is it taking for them? And once the file is uploading, how much time is it taking to send that file to other person? So these metrics are going to be very important. So that monitoring phase is also equally important as research and as execution for a product manager to think of whenever they are in the field, if I may say so. Now, just a little small thing to mention in monitor as well. A lot of times what happens is product managers, they stop thinking about the long-term vision and like a bigger picture of or a product strategy once the product is live. But it is very crucial for a product manager to keep assessing the product strategy maybe every quarter or maybe every once in 6 months. So because the needs of the market change, the customer behavior changes. So it's very important for a product manager to stay on top of it and make sure that your product is serving the needs of today and not of yesterday. So reassessing the product strategy is something that should also be part of monitoring. So here are the 3 things that a product manager would ideally do. Now, before I move on to what a project manager does, I want to pause and say, if you've liked this content and if you feel you're able to relate to it, definitely do not forget to hit like and subscribe. Also, in addition to that, now that we've spoken so much about product management, I have done a video before this wherein I've explained what a product manager does on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and monthly basis and a quarterly basis. So I think if you are in this role or aspiring to be one or want to know more about it, definitely go check that out. It's going to be a really helpful resource. Now, here are the 3 things that a project manager would do. First is understanding the requirements. Second is execution. The execution of a project manager is very different from product manager. We listen into that. The third one is closing, which is sort of similar to monitoring, but it's specifically called closing because of the way or because of the activities which are in there. So these are the 3 things that a project manager would ideally do. Now let's look at what does the first one entail, which is understanding the requirements. Now in this particular step, a project manager will be working very closely with the product manager and the business to understand what's the need of the development of this product. Like, why are we building this product? So over here, it's very important to think of it in this way. So product manager, we've spoken about all the research and they're very user focused. Project manager is going to think of it from a business perspective. Like, why is the product being built at this point? Has this product been built before? What benefit is the business going to get out of it? So these are all the questions which the project manager would be asking at this stage, and understanding the requirements on, yes, this product is being built, what are the multiple features which are going to be built, who's the user for this, who are the stakeholders within the organization. So all these questions the project manager would be asking at this stage. So again, in our example, they're going to understand, why did we choose to build a messaging product? And within the organization, yes, obviously it's going to be product and engineering team and design team who are going to be working on it, but who apart from that? Like, do we need a salesperson to directly sell it? Do we need like a marketing team or a product marketer to be able to market the product once it's live? Do we need like a client success team who will be able to support once the product is live? So they're going to think of it from a business perspective, from an internal organization perspective on why we are going to build it and how we are going to build it. So that is what a project manager would do at this step. Now, alongside that, they would also be thinking about what's the budget for this project, like based on the number of resources, engineering resources, product resources who are being put to use for building this product. What does the whole budget look like? Is the company in a situation to afford that budget? Where is the funding coming from and all of that? So they will be thinking about those budget constraints as well. Now, after they have understood, yes, there is a need for building this product, after this they would be doing the execution, alongside that monitoring as well. So as I said, the way a project manager does execution is very different from a product manager. We just heard a product manager, while execution they'll be like on the ground working with engineers and designers to get the product built, whereas a project manager, they would mostly be concerned about, so they would ideally, in terms of documentation, they would ideally create a project plan. So this is where they will be thinking about what's the entire time frame for building this product, what are the major milestones, what assumptions are we making, what are the things that are out of scope of this project. A little bit about the budget and all would also come here. They would be thinking about what are the risks that could come while building this product. Again, who are the stakeholders for this product, and if at all there are any risks, what are the mitigation plans in place? Who is thinking about the security of the product? So all of these questions, when he or she is creating a project plan, he or she would be asking all of these questions and filling this all in a document. So again, going back to the messaging example, so once they've understood, yes, we need to build this product, for them, they will be mapping out what are the major milestones. So major milestone, they could think about it from an epic level, like one epic could be building a user interface for a messaging software. The second epic or a milestone could be building a software for building a feature for logging in and logging out. The third epic could be ability to use the messaging software on a mobile or on a desktop So similarly, they'll be thinking of it more from a timeline perspective. These are the major milestones, these are the dates associated with them. Obviously, they will not be able to fill all of this information by themselves. They will be working very closely with product managers, the engineering managers, etc. But this is what they would ideally do: map out all the milestones. They would have like a higher level vision of how much time is this project going to take. In terms of risks, as an example, what are the risks when we are uploading a heavy file to a cloud? Is there an additional cost that's going to be associated to it? So that could be a risk, that in addition of it being a risk wherein a system might crash, there also are some budget constraints, because if we are uploading such heavy files onto cloud, will the cloud cost that the business incur, will that increase? So they will be thinking of this primarily when they are building out this project plan and stuff like that. So there are other things which are out of scope. As an example, in this messaging software itself, we don't, out of scope could be ability to send images or videos. This is an example. Maybe this is what the team should not focus on at this point, because our primary use case or the user pain point that we are trying to solve is something else. So the out of scope is we don't want to worry about ability to send an image or a video via a chat. So that is out of scope. Some assumptions, as an example over here, could be when a messaging product is being built, assumption here is that 80 or 90% of people are going to be using the messaging product on their mobile as opposed to a desktop. So that is like a big assumption, because it means that the team needs to primarily focus on getting the product built for a mobile app as opposed to a desktop app. So that is one example of an assumption here. Now, alongside that, the project managers, while they are getting this stuff executed, they have to be very good at documentation. So all of these things which we discussed, obviously there is a project plan. In addition to that, if there are some supporting documents while the team is, building the product, that would be built out. For example, they've identified this as a risk. There is a separate risk mitigation plan. So that could be a separate document that a project manager would be creating. So project managers need to be very good at documentation as well, and need to make sure that the stuff gets documented, while the team is building it. Now, in this execution phase, when a project manager is so time focused, so at this stage, obviously there are a lot of stakeholders within the organization, mainly the business people, who are going to be asking, the timelines of the project. Is the project on track? Are there any distractions? Because if there are any distractions or any risks in terms of building the product, the project manager would also chime in and make sure to remove all those distractions for the people so that they can build it and deliver it on time. Now, this is mainly what, in the execution and monitoring phase, what a project manager does. And, something that's equally important here as well, for easier way of working, to make sure that the product gets built on time and it's of the, high quality and stuff like that, the project manager would also set up the processes within the team and make sure everyone is following them. Because if there are right processes in place, everybody is on the same page and the right product gets built and the quality of the product is good. So the project manager would also be focusing on making sure that there are right processes in place and everybody is following those processes. It could be how the meetings are happening, how frequently the meetings are happening, what all gets documented, what all doesn't get documented, who are the stakeholders we should speak with very frequently and stuff like that. So whatever process change needs to happen, project manager is usually also responsible to make sure that those changes are part of the team's culture. Now, the third thing that a project manager does, apart from understanding the requirements and execution, is closing. Now, why this is a separate thingy? Because in organizations wherein project manager role is quite evident or it's quite necessary, in those organizations, there is like a proper formal sign-off process that this project is done or this product is built, and there is, some signatures needed or some business approvals and stuff like that. So that is where a project manager's role comes in picture, wherein they are responsible for getting all those business approvals, all those sign-offs to make sure like this project is completed. Now, the resources who were working on it, the people who were working on it, they have been released from, this project and they are open to working on some other project. And then, as I earlier mentioned as well, project managers need to have like a documentation skill with them all the time. Even at this stage wherein the project is getting closed, they would make sure that whatever documentation needs to be completed, that's completed at this stage as well. So that is what ideally means by like getting a closure on a project, and that's what a project manager is responsible for. Now, we've seen what a project manager does and what a product manager does. So if you've not noticed, there are a lot of commonalities in the roles. Like, both needs to be good at documentation, both needs to be good at communication, their interpersonal skill needs to be good, time management skill needs to be good, they need to be leaders, they need to possess those leadership qualities. So there are a lot of commonalities between both of these roles. I have actually done a video primarily on the skill set needed for product management, which also sort of applies to project management. So I'm going to link that here and in the description below as well. So definitely go check that out, because these soft skills are really important for a person to not only, excel in their roles, but also to do their work very efficiently. Now, some organizations, they have both roles. Some have just product roles, some have just project management roles. But usually, organizations where there is no project manager, the things that I mentioned that a project manager does, there are two people who usually do that. One is product manager and the other one is a scrum master / agile coach. So that's how the responsibilities are split. So even if the organization doesn't have a project manager role, there are other people doing these things. So this really depends on the type of organization. So if an organization is a service-based organization, like they are working with clients and building out products for them, so then it makes sense to have like a project manager roles, because they need to maintain that relationship and there is a proper closure of a project and stuff like that. Resources are getting released and stuff like that. So it makes sense to have a project manager role. In other cases wherein it's a product organization and they are, organizations are building product for their own customers, then in that case, the role is split between product managers and the scrum masters. So I think it's still doable. It just depends on which organization you are in. Now, I hope I have done justice to explaining the difference between a product manager and a project manager. If at all you still have any questions or doubts about what's the differences between those, or there could be something that I didn't mention but your organization follows, so definitely, leave a comment below and let me know what your experiences have been. I could be learning something from you. So that's really cool, and needless to say, do not forget to hit like and subscribe. Until then, see you all next week. Bye bye.